Ready whenever you are.
Okay, and we are streaming.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Bobette Mason. I'm the chair of the Neighborhood Advisory Committee, and this is a virtual meeting that we will now call our meeting to order. The committee consists of 9 members, all appointed by the City Council with the representation from specific community sectors. Members shall be residents of the city or the city's extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction and reflect the socioeconomic diversity of Asheville. The term of office is 3 years. The committee was established to advise the City Council on neighborhoods within the City of Asheville zoning and planning jurisdiction. The committee shall have the following powers and duties: develop rules and bylaws for the conduct of its business, including but not limiting to meeting schedules, officers, voting, and subcommittees. Develop a plan to strengthen neighborhood identity and resilience, and to facilitate communication and cooperation between Asheville's neighborhood and city offices. Develop benchmarks and standards by which progress towards implementing the plan can be measured, and work on special projects that are consistent with the goals of the committee as assigned or directed by the City Council. All committee members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through committee meetings a bit differently. We're streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through our virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801 and entering meeting code 9247. For those of you who plan to speak during our live public comment today, you will need to hit *3 to be put in the speaker queue. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. I will go through and we will let the committee members introduce themselves and the staff. For our committee members, please make sure to mute your microphones if you are not speaking. When you have questions or would like to speak, click raise hand, and when recognized by the chair, unmute your microphone. Please remember to mute your phone after you're done speaking. Committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello and let us know where you're from. Now, I'm Bobette Mays, the chair. It's 28803 and at large. Mike Wassner.
Hi, my name is Mike Wasmer. I'm an at-large member.
Sharon.
Hi, I'm Vice Chair Sharon, 28805.
Peter. Peter, we don't have him yet. Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Likas. I'm an at-large member and I reside in 28803.
Wendy.
Hello, I'm Wendy Hayner. I reside at 28804.
Elise.
Hi, I'm Elise. I'm an at-large member and I reside in 28806.
And Lucius. And Carl.
Hi, I'm Carl Knight and I reside in 28801.
Okay, and then we have Kim Roney, who is our city council liaison, but she usually has a conflict, so she's not with us. All of you know Christina by now. She's with us, and Dawa. So we will get ready and get started. Let's take a look at the agenda. So, no, let's look at the minutes from the draft meetings from June 27th. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? After you look over them, I guess. Can I get a motion?
This is Wendy Hayner. I will be more than happy to make a motion to approve the minutes from June 27th.
Can I get a second?
Sharon,
I'll second.
I'll second. Sorry.
Okay. All in favor, let's just say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, well, let's move on. Have you looked at the agenda for today? Is there anything that you would like added onto the agenda, or can we just let it, we don't have to vote on it, let it stay as it is? Is this, okay, all right. Do we have any public comment?
There are no voicemails and there's nobody on the line waiting to speak.
Okay, then. So let's go on to staff activities and updates. Dawa?
All right. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you all on this rainy Monday. It makes Monday a little harder, doesn't it? I'll start with our first item, which is the expiration of the governor's executive order, which is what allowed us to move to virtual meetings for public business. We expect that order is going to be lifted August 15th, which means, well, many of you probably already know that council has already gone back to in-person meetings, and we expect that will also apply to council committees after that August 15th lift of the order. That relates to this committee with respect to your preference, if you have one, for continuing to meet virtually or meeting in public. It's yet to be determined if there is going to be a directive on that, but I would like to capture any feedback that you all have to share with the city clerk's office as next steps for boards and commissions are considered.
Okay, Sharon.
As much as I like the convenience of meeting via Zoom, I miss the interaction with everybody in person. And I've stated before that I prefer in-person meetings, and I'll just have to get off my butt and get to the meeting on time. And that I used to do it, I can do it again. So I would like personally to see us meet in person.
Is that okay?
Would
Anyone else have a comment? Okay, Wendy.
I would like to approve that suggestion too, Sharon. I agree that it would be much better for all of us to meet in person, and maybe having interaction between all of us will get a lot more things done.
Then you'll finally get to really see what I look like, because I look different in person. Is that okay, Dow? It looks like everybody wants to meet in person. I think that's about, I think that it's more comfortable. I think that more interaction than just sitting here, you know.
Absolutely. So
I like sitting at home wearing my own clothes, but I mean, I'll get up and come out. Yeah, Sharon.
I know that the time is kind of weird. Did we meet at this time before COVID? Has anybody been on here before COVID?
This is the time that we settled on, if I'm correct, Dawa, this is what before COVID, it was 5 o'clock.
yeah,
Because it's going to start to get dark too. So you don't want to be out.
Oh, I agree. I was talking to Mike, and he said that it was changed.
We
And
had
that's
been
why I was asking.
we had been as late as 6 or 6:30.
6:30. We've done
Five is
before.
a challenging time for myself, and it's not that I'm a limiting factor, but that if we did have a vote on it, or if we could, I don't think we can figure out schedules right here, right now, but if we can look at that sometime down the road.
Okay. Yes, Carl.
Can we put that on the next meeting agenda, actually? Because I'm sure we could throw some ideas out there that would work better for everybody. I mean, even later than this would be a problem for me.
I imagine we're going to need to talk location too.
Yeah.
Most recently, we were meeting in City Hall. I don't think that was conducive to getting the public at the meetings. In times past, we had done regional meetings from time to time, but we usually met in the Development Services building there on Charlotte Street, and that has easy parking, very central. It always seemed to be conducive for people being informal, which was welcome.
My wife serves on ADA, and she said they met there recently as well, for their first in-person meeting since being back.
Yes, Sharon.
UFC meets there, and we're going to be meeting in person, and we meet there. And parking is, well, not for us because it's 1 PM, but I'm agreed with the time, but I think it's a good idea to put it on our agenda and discuss next time.
And we can be prepared at that next meeting as well to talk about what's happening across the board. Just having come out of this space where there has been a desire for the meetings to be streamed so that they're more accessible to people who can't show up in person. There's some limitations in the Public Works building, and a lot of the boards and commissions are moving to the first floor conference room where we've got the technology to do that and do that well. So sounds like timing, technology, what the final order is going to be, those are all considerations for the committee.
That was definitely a follow-up question that I wanted to have, was to ask if things were going to be able to be recorded, it is immensely helpful for everybody to have, for transparency and also just accessibility in perpetuity, which is nice. And I do remember hearing, I think I tried to watch a planning and zoning meeting where the audio, one of the first times trying to do that audio, and it made it a real challenge, I think, just to tap into it. So I know what problems y'all are facing.
Okay, so we'll agree that our August meeting, that we will discuss the time and the location, I guess. I don't know about the scheduling. That's the only thing about, at this point in time, about moving it from City Hall to another location. But that's something that we can kind of look into and see what that is, something that we can't decide on now. So I'm saying, we're going to meet in our August meeting on the first floor of City Hall at 5:00. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we can we'll be in person then. So that means that we'll be able to actually talk to each other about how we plan on going forward.
Mm-hmm.
That sound all right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that trying to get downtown at 5:00 would be a challenge, and maybe like the 5:15 or 5:30 might be a good starting point in that regard.
How would we handle that, Dawa?
Well, you guys could, all right. So my understanding is that it is, while city council and council committees are directly impacted by the lift of the order, I think that there is some discretion for boards and commissions, or at least it's a gray area. And I think there's going to be some conversation around that. So you all could tentatively plan on having your August meeting virtual so that you've got the space and time after everyone's been able to look at their calendars, and we can bring information back to you to talk about what that would look like in September.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Yes, Wendy.
Could you please verify that again for our August meeting on the 29th? What is the arrangement going to be?
It's going to be virtual.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is the date the 29th or is it going to be the 22nd?
It's always the fourth Monday.
So it'll be the
of each
22nd.
month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Would you like me to roll right into your choice sign up?
Yes.
All right. So I do believe Christina let me know. Missed you all while I was on vacation at your last meeting. I heard Christina did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
She let me know that she talked to you all a bit about our Your Choice, Your Voice sign up. So I just wanted to give it one more plug. We've got some new members and would like to invite you all to, when you're out and about in your neighborhoods doing your work, to encourage people, if they'd like, to go ahead and sign up for that. You can get to it from the front page of the website. At the top, there's a tab that says Engage. Just click that, and that'll take you to the page where the sign up is. A little bit about the why behind the sign up. We're certainly aware and have been taking action to address the inclusivity of our decision-making processes across the organization. So the idea with that sign up is that people can choose, if they'd like, to self-identify in some categories where we know that we have had challenges connecting with people. And so you can sign up with only your email or your email and your name. And what will then happen as we are planning for projects that have engagement, it could be sidewalks on a street. It could be something big like the Reimagining Public Safety engagement. It could be the visioning for Pack Square. As we're developing those communication and engagement plans, we're identifying people that we know we need to do more work to reach and connect and hear from. And that will be a way for us to proactively reach out and say, hey, we have this engagement coming up. We'd like to invite you to participate. And then if we're still not getting an acceptable response from some different demographic groups, especially those who will be most impacted by a project, then we know that we've got to get on the ground and start knocking on doors, meeting people out in the community where they are, and making it easier for them to participate if they care to. So just wanted to give one more plug. I'm sure, Christine, this might be the second time y'all have heard all of that, but just wanted to give you all that invitation to share that. We've got some rack cards coming. So when we meet in person, yay, hopefully in September, we'll be able to hand those out to you. You can carry them around in your car or whatever you want to do, and you can just hand it to somebody. I'll have a QR code, and that'll be an easy way for them to get to the sign up where they can identify with any demographic groups that they identify with.
Elizabeth?
Dalla, I'm looking for that. You said where is that located again that people can sign up?
Yeah, if you go to the front page of the website, at the very top, there's some tabs. The first one says services. The second one says departments. And then right there at the end beside news, you'll see a tab that says engage.
Okay, I'm not, I was on the neighborhood services page. What page are you saying it's on the front of? I've been on 3 and I don't see it. So
if you just go to ashevillennc.gov, it's on the front page of the website.
Okay, I was going too far deep into it. I was like, just trying to make sure so I can pass this on to neighborhood associations. And this is different than the newsletter. This is different than, I don't know, people will want to know, what am I signing up for? Just notifications.
Yeah, it will be notifications for engagement opportunities. So if we're asking for input, if there's a decision to be made, we're asking for input, then this means if you sign up that you will get an email saying this is happening, because we know it's a lot to keep up with. We probably have 20 projects right now where we're asking for input. It's just a lot to keep up with.
I'm really glad to hear that you're creating this new pathway for engagement, because it's really, I think it can be challenging for the city to address all the neighborhoods or all the possible communities that can be impacted or within any given stretch of things. So I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. And just so you all know, this supplements geographic orientations for projects as well. So within this same tool, if we know that there's a project that's going to impact a specific neighborhood, we can also use that same platform to reach out to people who have registered with public input to let them know, hey, this project's happening in your neighborhood and we'd like to invite you to participate.
Will that happen departmentally too? Like, will Parks and Rec also use this platform?
Yeah, yes, we've got folks in every department trained on it, and then they all work with their communication and public engagement liaison in developing their communication and engagement plan. So there's a check and balance against that to just make sure we've got it coming from two sets of eyes to be as inclusive as we can.
Sharon?
Two questions. One, it's tied in with simplicity as well, I'm assuming.
We are working on that. It's a technical answer. If I'm not mistaken, we're working off of some same GIS files, but they are two They are two separate systems. So Simplicity doesn't have a customer relations module connected to it, but Chris Collins and I have been talking about ways that we might be able to integrate the two. So as we continue to use this tool, we're trying to see if there's opportunities for notifications about developments, those kinds of things, being tied into that same subscriber list.
So that would mean for developments that don't necessarily are required to do neighborhood meetings. So this could be level ones as well that don't require neighborhood meetings. Or right now, Simplicity, they've changed it where you can log into your neighborhood meeting and take a look at what that looks like for a development. And so what you're talking about is developments that can be level ones as well, coming through, what's the name of this? Your Voice, Your Choice to sign up?
Yeah, so this is the Your Voice, Your Choice sign up is connected to our public input platform. So that's our engagement hub. If you all actually, it's how we're able to stream these meetings, for example. And it is also where for example, the Reimagining Public Safety Engagement, that's where it lived. So there's an association between those contact lists and those public engagement efforts. So the development portal, that tool through Simplicity, is more oriented towards things that developers are leading, where public input is more oriented towards city-sponsored projects. So if it were, so there's a little bit of a difference.
Development, I heard.
Yeah.
Simplicity. So when you're talking about development, that could be major, like what they're doing with the trees in Haywood type of situation. For how do you feel about the trees coming out on a public project on Haywood, that type of thing, as opposed to a private development that would run through Simplicity.
That's right. Yeah. If you want to think Vermont Avenue for our West Asheville folks, right? That sidewalk project in Vermont on Vermont Avenue, that tool was used. And so any of the inputs collected and kind of analyzed, processed through that. And now we're really trying to take advantage of this opportunity to build on the contact list and database that are another part of the tool. And that's going to help us be more proactive, and rather than just posting it up on the website and saying, hey, or putting it in a newsletter, it's just one more way to connect with people to get them into those surveys where we're collecting input.
Right. And one more question. I'm liking the idea because I went to a South Side United meeting, and I like the QR codes. Are they going to be cards that you're going to give us to hand out? Okay, fabulous. I like that. Thank you so much for all that you're doing with this.
Wendy?
Yes, thank you so much, Dawa. I have a question. When you're filling out that form, I had a couple of people say, well, I should have gone back and put in business. I should have put in arts. I should have put in recreation. And now they don't know how to go back and get those changed. So I wanted to ask you how I can answer that question for the people.
I am not quite sure, to be quite honest. I will have to look into that. I think, hold on, I'm pulling up the page right now. If nothing else, they can certainly send an email, and we can manually enter them into those lists, right? Hopefully it won't be 5,000 people that send us those emails, because the automation is pretty nice. But I thought that we had listed, if you have any questions. Would it be okay if I reported back on that to you at your next meeting? Let me look into what the most efficient way to do that would be. And if we need to set up something on this end, I think that we can certainly do that to just make the flow as easy as it can be, so we don't lose anybody's email.
I examined the website and I didn't find any area where there was an exception to the rule. So I was like to suggest that you could go back and say, if you would like to change your selection, then these are the ways that you can do that, from allowing them to take ownership of that instead of having to send an email and wanting to know if that would be a possibility, adding that to the website.
Well, I'll have to, because it's all automated in the platform, I'm just going to have to look and see what's possible, because it's built to make sure in these surveys that the same person isn't going in and answering a survey question time and time again, right? So there's a risk of it impacting the integrity of whatever that engagement is. So I think we're going to have to look into it a little bit further just to find a way that's easy for the user, and then so that there's some accountability on our end to make sure that it gets in the system.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions about that? If not, we'll go on to new business. No, unfinished business, excuse me. Do we have a status report for the Neighborhood Volunteer of the Year Committee? I do know I did see on Mountain Express the press release about that. It's out. So I'm going to put this on you, Mike.
Thanks, Bobette. This is Mike. Yeah, Christina helped get us kind of organized and lined up. We had a lot of notions that we've been working around, but she just helped us solidify the calendar. And it sounds like Christina also has a bit of volunteer background that I'd be happy to hear you share again if you could. But that's the core of it. We just had basically helped hammer down the details, lining up the calendar with the fiscal year and doing the quarterly application process, and kind of basically an open enrollment for applications. I might need a little crutch or anything for other details. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks since we did discuss that. Elizabeth?
Yeah, you said there was a press release in the Mountain Express. I somehow missed that. Is there a way we can get a copy of that I can forward to some neighborhood associations?
It just came up to me today. I don't get my because it came up on my page on something I was looking at, and it said, okay, there's Christina put something.
Thank you, Christina. That's perfect. I'm so glad. That was my question is, did we do the first call out in July that we were going to do? So that's awesome.
Yeah. So everything is on target. So it looks like we're doing well. I'm excited. I think even though we've been virtual, I think that we've been working. I haven't had any complaints from anybody in the neighborhood. So I'm saying everybody's doing great work. So we're on to new business. Dawa, can you kind of give an overview of the NAC annual retreat? Because I know we have discussed that in our pre-meeting, but kind of like give us an overview so the other the committee members will know.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So each year, after council has established their priorities, which they have, and we talked about those at a former meeting, they're on the website, and we're happy to share in an email to everybody what those are for our new members. So they establish their priorities, and then the organization, staff-wise, comes up with what the organizational work plan's going to look like. So the things that we're going to do that move forward council's priorities. And then there's also this opportunity for boards and commissions to align what any of their priorities might be for the coming year with city council's priorities. So it's at that annual retreat where you all have the opportunity to reflect on, how things went in the past. We've talked about, and you all adopted in the annual report, how you all felt you did with the priorities from, I guess, the last fiscal year. And so that's the opportunity that we have ahead of us now to go ahead and get that scheduled. It's a time for you all to talk and spend time with each other, knowing what the charge of the committee is, and then working through what actions you all could take to meet your charge, as well as move forward City Council's priorities for this current fiscal year, which began on July 1.
So this is open for discussion. No one has anything to do. Okay, Sharon, thank you.
Our last one was in April, and I have the meeting minutes for it. So I'm thinking this is something that we all meet and go over together in person and figure out, look at the goals. I think there's 3 of them, or is there 4? Forget what council's goals, how many, 3 or 4. And we'll go over kind of what the methodology in the past. This is my first time. I'm only a few months, so I'm not sure how it goes, but I did attend the other retreat that was virtual. And I think meeting in person, it'll look differently than it did virtually. So I'm thinking that our last one was April. So if we're going to meet and we decide in September to meet in person, that maybe it should be on our docket or agenda for September, for making a decision if we want to do it in October.
Anyone else? Wendy?
I agree completely with Sharon. I think that we need to have it on our docket for our August meeting to plan for it for our October meeting. I think by having it wait until October instead of doing it in September, that will give us an opportunity to meet everybody and know how we all feel and get that out in the open and be ready for our retreat in October.
So you're saying we need to put it on the docket for next month?
Yes, I'd like to see us put it on. So we have a tendency to put it on and not think about it. So if we could remind ourselves that we're going to be having our retreat in October and it will be in person, and another reminder in September, so everybody can start putting together their thoughts and how they address the retreat. And maybe, Darwa, we could have some outlines for the retreat of what we're going to focus on so that we have something to prepare from our side.
I think that sounds great. It could be helpful. It's up to you all. We can certainly provide some support from the staff end, but I wonder if there might be a smaller group, a subcommittee, a working group. Being careful with my words here, that might want to work on how you all would like to propose that the retreat go.
I like
Again,
that.
that's up to you. That's up to you all.
I think it'd be real helpful, especially, and not to say Sharon, and put you in the spot, but you've been in the retreat, and we've been able to be in the retreat, but it's all been virtual. But I'd love to see us have some input into different subjects within that, our goals.
Yeah, I have been to 3 years worth of retreats at USC in person. And so I've got some knowledge on that. And I think knowing that our guidelines are with council's priorities, we've got 4 of them. And I would be more than happy. It wouldn't take a whole lot of work to get those 4 priorities. And then we all meet and find out which of those priorities we really want to tackle. For me, it's neighborhood resiliency. I had to look up the word resilience, which means return back to its original shape. But that isn't going to happen. But we could certainly spend a lot of time on that as our goal, because we are the neighborhood advisory committee. So I wouldn't mind meeting with somebody else who'd be interested in doing that and putting down points or ideas of how retreats look. Our retreats at UFC go, and I don't suggest we do this, but 4 hours at UFC because we have huge agendas. But I don't think with our first year back that we need to do that. I think we could probably get it all done in a normal meeting of an hour and a half if we had nothing else on the agenda.
Okay, Elizabeth and then Carl.
Yes, you partially answered that, Sharon, just as you were talking. I was wondering what typically the time frame is, and when I think of retreat, I think of an all-day, 8-hour kind of thing. So somebody help orient me to what that would look like in October. Is that the same meeting time on Monday, or is it a different day, or is it longer?
I have the last one. I can look it up and tell you how long it was, but it was virtual, so I don't know.
Okay, let's let Carl had his hand raised.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, that was definitely a part of the question. Also, I would be happy to help sort through some of the priorities and everything if you need any support, Sharon. And then additionally, if you have an outline from the previous meetings or retreats that maybe could be sent out that we could use as a template, and maybe also have some input in before we get into it, so we can actually give something to provide to DAWA and staff and see where we need support as well. I think that would be useful for our time, because as committee members, I mean, we all set aside time throughout the month. We know we're dedicating somewhere between 5 or 10 hours, I think, is in the introductory video that we all have to watch. So I think we can set aside some time to look over a couple emails and add our thoughts into a template. But I don't really have any question. It was just kind of throwing that out there.
Okay. Wendy?
I just was going to say that I believe that everybody took care of those questions that we just had. So thank you.
So what did you find, Sharon?
I'm dealing with open space on Tuesday, so I'm kind of all my books are scattered around. What I can do is, if we want to form Carl and I don't know if anybody else wants to do, it's not a subcommittee, working group. That's it. And then I can find, again, the notes I have from the April meeting were all virtual, but it gave us a point of reference of what we were dealing with. So if it's just Carl, you and I, we can do that. And I can I have your email address and send you the information I have from our previous. And I don't know, I can probably look it up on our last meeting when we did have a in-person meet, and see if that's living in an archive somewhere of what that looks like.
Is there a Google Drive somewhere that had the last virtual retreat saved?
I don't know. I have it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I can get that information for what the agenda looked like for that last meeting. And if you all are interested, Christina and I can work with some of the other staff liaisons to boards and commissions so that you can get a look at what their agendas for their retreats look like. So you've got a couple of different choices to hone in on what you all think is best for you.
Yeah, I also love competition, so I'd love to see whatever theirs is.
And Elise, would you be interested in being part of that?
Sure.
With that working group with them?
Yeah.
I do believe that, the diversity of having, the new and then those more seasoned, I'm going to put you, because I'm going to make you the baby of this group. So I kind of want I would like for you to be in there with Sharon and Carl, and you can give a better perspective because it's brand new to you. And so if you just bring her along, and she may bring in with some good ideas. Okay. Is that all right?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
I mean, if she's the baby, I'm the toddler.
Oh, come on, Carl.
I'm barely walking right now.
No, Carl, no. Somebody else is going to say they're not even talking now. So yeah, it's okay. But yeah, if you all get together with that, just remember that, just make sure that you get with Dawa and Christina, whenever you're gonna do a working group, because would like for one of them to be there, because they know all the ins and outs of everything else if they're gonna get the information for you, and that would be helpful. So that means that let's get it. We'll put it on the agenda. We'll talk about it a little bit in September, but we'll have the retreat ready in October. Is that correct? That's how we do it. So that means that when we meet in October, it will be just a retreat and won't do the rest of the things. Is that what I'm understanding? It'll just be a retreat and we'll talk about these items that you all have. Okay.
That was my thinking on it.
Okay.
And then I'll send Elise and Carl the information I have from UFC and wait for Dawa to send us items also. And April, or Dawa, are you going to send the April one, or I can send my copy of it?
Either way, why don't we'll just take care of all that. We'll send it all in a big package.
Okay, thank you.
And all I ask is if you all, whatever you get, would you send it to me so I would know in advance before you all meet? I mean, before we have the official meeting, so
You turned your mic off on accident.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was doing all that talking and I was using my hands and everything and you didn't hear me. I was saying, just make sure that all of this, Dawa knew, just make sure that all of this gets to me. Just for my information so that when we actually do meet and whatever you've had, I'll already know and I won't be sitting up asking questions. That's all. You know how that goes. Oh, anything else about that? So let's go into the NAC member information sharing participation on other boards. Multimodal transportation.
We have not had another meeting since our last meeting, just the way the calendar fell. So our meeting is Wednesday. I have nothing new.
So let me ask you, would what you all do have anything to do with making decisions on what's going on Sweden Creek Road?
Are you referring to, what are you referring
The
to?
traffic with the new development that's coming up across from the Carolina Day soccer field?
I don't know, but I can ask Wednesday.
Because the traffic has become hideous with them because they're doing a lot. It's a big development that's coming. And if you go through there, it's only 2 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime during the day, it used to be in the morning when people go to work or in the afternoon when they were getting off. But it's so bad now. It's bad. It backs all the way up to where I live off of Rock Hill Road. So, I mean, I'm just saying, if there was something about that, and I still want to talk about the speed bumps, that we need something on this side of Rock Hill Road going into Oakland, because people use that as a throughway when they're trying to, and they come fast, you know. And my neighbor, somehow his dog was trying to chase a rabbit and a truck came down real fast and killed his dog. So, you know, I mean, people just driving fast, and it's a lot of people over here now. So I'm just saying, I don't know if that would have anything to do with it, but just, that's my concern. Anybody else have a concern?
I can respond to that, Elizabeth, to make your life easier. There's a staff report that, and you can email me, and because I'm on the technical review committee, and they will have the transportation of whether they're required to do a traffic impact study or not. Sometimes they're required and sometimes they're not. And so to answer Bobette's question, if they're not required to do a traffic impact study, then things stay as they are. If they are required to do a traffic impact study, then the new study has to be presented by the time the project, which is a conditional zoning, finishes its process. And then Ken Putnam is the one that, and his new sidekick, I want to say Christopher, and I'll think of his last name in a minute, on transportation, will have a formal report that will tell you what that traffic looks like and what the developer is required to do to meet those new requirements. And so that, I think, Bobette, is a process through the staff report that's going through that development. And I don't know if multimodal would even see that at that point in time. But
What is the name of that project that is going on Sweeten Creek? So
If you send me an email, I'll give you the, I have it in my TRC book. I'll give
Okay.
you the information on it now. You may not be able to find that information because it's not, a lot of it is not to the general public on Simplicity yet. But I can look up and see if there's a traffic impact study required for it.
Okay,
And-
Dawa?
Yeah.
I wonder if it would be helpful, especially since we have so many new members, to invite our transportation director, Ken Putnam, to a meeting to give a presentation about our traffic calming policy. So even if there are traffic calming needs in a neighborhood that aren't related to a development, there is a process that's established that includes doing traffic studies, seeing what the speeds are, and then also working with our fire department to see if speed humps and there's another tool that we are using now, and those are called speed cushions. Those speed cushions allow emergency vehicles to pass through. They have a bigger wheelbase. They're especially designed for that because one of the considerations is if any kind of traffic calming would decrease the fire department's standard of cover. And that just means how quickly they can get to a call. And we all know when you're talking about heart attacks and things like that, every second counts. And whether it's a major thoroughfare or not, there's a lot of pieces that go into that. But I think that Ken would be happy to give an overview so that you all are better armed with knowledge as you're out in your neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. I think that would be great if you can set up whenever you'll be available to come and talk to us about it, because a lot of us may not know all the pieces to that, because I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that's what in Oakland we were trying to get some traffic calming measures, and we were told there were certain things that certain streets were not wide enough to do those cushions, and so there was no alternate way to get the emergency vehicles through. So, yeah, I love that idea of a presentation, though.
Right, and then we would be able to ask questions, and then maybe I think it's a good idea. Sharon, Urban Forestry Commission.
Okay, so I think I said it last time and I can't remember, but council has approved our urban forester. And we worked long and hard to try to get an urban forester, and now we need an urban forest master plan. And we're considering paying for the urban forest master plan out of monies that we garner from developers that are using the fee in lieu option instead of planting trees. And we'd rather have them plant trees, but if they can't or won't, or for whatever reason, then there's a fee attached to it. And we at the Urban Forestry Commission, when we worked on the tree protection ordinance, we asked to be included in how that money is divvied out. So we may think about it. The city doesn't have the money to do the urban forest master plan, which will guide the urban forester on our on how we go about getting our green space and climate issues and all those things that we have as a problem with not having enough green infrastructure and our loss of our trees due to development. So that is our first priority of what we're going to do. We're taking the month of August off, and then we will reconvene in September, and our discussion will be about our urban forest master plan. But we're all thrilled because the urban foresters showed up at the last minute. We didn't think we were going to get it. They told us we weren't going to get it, and then we got one. So we're very happy with that. We all should be the neighborhood should be very happy for that. So that's what's going on in the Urban Forestry Commission at that point.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, so let's not go back, but let's go to if we have any information sharing from each one of you. Mike, I am very excited that you did connect with Aisha from United Way. She's a close friend of mine. I worked with her when she worked with Buncombe County. She is really engaged with the community, and she wants to do more things to involve the community. So I think that's a plus. And they have a lot of resources over in United Way now for young people. So I work for a summer camp, and they seem to be they're helping us with a lot of things that we need. So I'm glad that you were able to connect with her. I do know that they're going to have something like a block party. I think it's August 20th, somewhere along like that, for kids to go back to school. It's going to be at, what is that, Pack Place or whatever that is. Yeah, I think they're having something there. So if any of you in your communities, if you would connect with United Way, they have a lot of resources and they're very helpful. So if you would connect with them. So, but I just wanted to give you that. So if you wanted to say anything else about your neighborhood, Mike, I was just on the road with that.
Not too much has been going on. I think COVID really put a damper on anybody's kind of bigger get-togethers that have been going on. As I think everyone's just taking a recovery year at this point. There's a couple of developments and stuff that have got I think people up a little bit up in arms, but nothing too major to report on. I don't think. Actually, the one that's got people up in arms, I will go ahead and mention, is that there's one that's on 226 Hilliard, and it'll be in the South Slope transition zone. But we just really haven't had much communication with the developer themselves. But the concern is revolving around they're maybe negotiating the purchase of one of our neighbors' homes, which that was just the flag that has kind of caused me some alarm. But the other development is actually possibly a very good one, which is Eagles Wings Community Development Corporation is trying to explore the Ashland parcel that Haywood Street Congregation or Haywood Street Community Development was intending to develop. And so far it sounds as though it will be a more modest proposal that won't be so impactful or so won't sit so high above my neighbors, which would be great. So that's a good positive one. And I'm hoping for in the future is just Southside United is meeting much more frequently, and I'm hoping to see more and more interaction between the neighborhood. There hasn't been as much of an organization for us to engage with from down there, but I'm looking forward to meeting more people there.
Elizabeth?
Yes, so the Oakland Neighborhood Association meeting they're not meeting monthly, they're meeting like on some weird 6 or 7 week schedule, but they're meeting tomorrow night. I can't go, but if anybody's interested, it's tomorrow night and I can send you information. I'm going to send them just a report of a few things. But they also had this past weekend a big Swannanoa River cleanup in conjunction with Riverlink, which was really cool. And there's huge piles of really interesting things pulled from the Swannanoa. So we're taking slow steps to get that more accessible and usable, those types of things, as the city's going to be winding that greenway over there towards Glendale.
Okay. I'm supposed to go tubing, and I don't know if that's over there where the Swannanoa River is or not. Is it? Anybody know? No? No one goes tubing?
Probably the French Broad.
Yeah.
Is it French Broad? Okay. I don't know. I just
don't
know
have
my
any
kids set it up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've tubed the
There's no
Swannanoa,
outfitters.
but it was sketchy. Yeah, there's no outfitters in the Swannanoa. I said I've tubed the Swannanoa, but it was sketchy.
sketchy.
I mean, you have some obstacles you have to get through. That's all.
Well, they told me that I had to fill out a form that said that I had to realize that I could die or be seriously injured.
Wow.
And that they would not be responsible. So if I don't make the next meeting, then you know why.
Is it Zen Tubing or the French Broad Outfitters?
Zen Tubing.
Zen. I know those people.
Oh, it's a good one?
I mean, they make you sign that form.
Yeah, I did.
I'm just
was
kidding.
like, yeah, you could die or, yeah, I know.
They're great. They're great.
Sharon?
Okay, I want to talk about two neighborhood meetings. Mine at Easton Valley. We're having our Easton Valley Street Community Heritage Festival August 27th. We'll have food and music, good music. Normally, before COVID, it was 3 days, but we're only going to do it 1 day. And we'll probably have vendors, and I bought jewelry the last time we had it. So we're all looking forward to that, and we're getting it organized. There's a lot going on in Easton Valley. We got funding for a mobile dentist to help our community. And that's what we're calling Aging in Place. And we already have people signed up. We have a volunteer dentist, a volunteer hygienist, and anybody that needs any major work done will go to a facility on Biltmore. And we're in the process of plagiarizing Bobette's neighborhood with an area plan and use their long, hard information that they did for their area plan and call out from that what we need to make an area plan. And it'll probably take us over a year to do it, to present to the city, because the city doesn't have any time to do it. So we're going to do it and present it to the city and see what that looks like. And so we're a very involved community, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. I wanted to run into Mike Wasner because he and I chat back and forth. So I ran over to Southside United to see if he was there, and he had missed it. So, and there was a good, I'm going to say I met Christina in person who was there. And I don't know, was there about 40 people, Christina? There's a lot of people there, I thought. And I wanted to say that they're talking about the Walton Pool and what they're going to do with it. And they're doing a survey that not everybody's had or seen, even with the QR code and the engagement process. So South French Broad neighborhood didn't get it, and Easton Valley didn't get it. And I do know a lot of families in Easton Valley use the Walton Pool. So the Parks Department is going to extend that engagement out for what do they want to see happen with the Walton Pool. And it's going to go into Easton Valley and some of the other legacy neighborhoods that use that pool, grew up with that pool. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with it. And I have not seen what the survey looks like, but keep your eye open for it if your community has got an interest in what's going on with the Walton Street Pool, as Easton Valley does. And that's it from me. Thanks, Carl.
Okay, Carl.
Yeah, I was sad to miss that meeting. My son is teething with some molars coming in and had me held hostage up here. But I'm excited that Walton Street came up. I live, less as the crow flies, less than 100 yards from that pool. And Mike and I had a really good conversation about the survey that went out. I live right here, and I got the one flyer in the mail, but we were out of town for a while and got it. And then by the time I went on to log in to do the survey, we were not allowed to complete it. And it had not been, like a 2-week period. And then apparently another one went out to residents around here, but I am a resident here. I've been here 3 years. My wife's been here 6 years. We did not get the second notice that the survey went back out. I'm excited about the engagement portal. Hopefully I can put in a little bit of more public input through something like that. But it is very strange to be so close to Walton Street Pool and not know almost anything about like the surveys that are going on or being able to put input into it, especially since I've been on NAC for, this is my third meeting now. So it's just super surprising. But I'm glad to hear that it's coming back around. But I guess my question is it going to end up in my inbox or my mail outside, or do I have to call somebody to find out what's going on? or where the survey lies, or was there any talk about how it's going to get distributed? The outreach?
There was a lot of talk on how people didn't get it.
Okay.
And I would suggest, and I don't know, Christina, who was there, probably may back me up and may not, but I would send an email to the Parks Department because it seems to be headed through that young man that got a lot of grief from all the neighbors on it. And he did a very good job calming everybody down. But he was a person that was representing the Parks Department. And I would say, unless Christina says something different, that would probably be an email to the Parks Department and say, who's going to get this and how are they going to redo it. I know there was talk about sending it back out, going back through the city directory, and as much as pulling off all of us that signed the sign-in sheet that went to the meeting. So I think they're trying different avenues, and they talked about the QR code and posting those signs out, but I don't know if they're going to continue with that or not. There was a lot of discussion on how they were going to do it, and the end result was they need to do it again because hardly anybody got it. So
Agreed. Yeah, that's everything I found out. A lot of my neighbors didn't even know that it was in their mail, or it wasn't in their mail.
yeah.
So yeah, when I really liked when Dawa was talking about the engagement portal, that if you're not getting enough, we get boots on the ground out and like ask these people what's going on. I thought that was meaningful, but I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say, as a native of Asheville that was impacted by not being able to go everywhere in Walton Street Park, the pool, and how significant it was. And I understand, but I want you to know that if you go down Oakland Road and you go down Haves Drive and you take that corner, all of those brick houses that you see were built by a man that taught over at Stevens Lee and South French Broad. He had his students to build those homes.
Whoa.
You got some rich people over in that area.
Yeah.
You need to talk to them. You need to ask them how they feel. And they are African Americans. And some of them are very business people that live over there. Mm-hmm. That's why I say it's important that you talk to your neighborhood, your neighbors, because if you get them involved, make sure that they get that survey. Don't just go, and if you go down Walton Street, I know those people there, and where that church is, used to be a Catholic school for Blacks. That's where African-American students went to, that Catholic elementary school. They went all the way up until they went to Stevens Lee. So I'm just saying that as you want to engage people, get people inside of your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of them that you have been reaching. And I'm not talking about the ones that live in Erskine or Walton, not just them, because they probably won't have much to do with that. But you go with that side with those people that have been there for years. I have family. My sister had owned the first house on Haves Drive. And that was in the late 60s. So reach out to them, because that could be vital in whatever it is that you all are trying to get for Walton, for that Walton pool.
Absolutely.
Because you can get people from all over to give you ideas, but you need to get the people that were directly impacted, involved, and they live over there. So I would say do that. My thing would be, I would love to see it made into a skating ring, because you're not going to bring it back. Because the city is not going to pay for a pool again. We know that. Mm-hmm. So, but if you had a skating ring, that would be something. Because you've got to think about, you got a lot of young people too. So we got to think about them as we think about our seniors. Mm-hmm. Because it's a lot of. So I'll just encourage you all in that aspect as you do that, to go to get to know your neighbors. A lot of them were professionals. Some of them are still there. Some of them have moved, but up on that stretch and going down, just get to talk to them, and you'll find out. I have My sister, my nephew, and his daughter all live on the same street, right across from each other. So just get to know them. So that's my spiel. Wendy, what's next? You're next.
Thank you, Babette. I wanted to talk to you about Beaver Dam Run is a gated community within my neighborhood. And so I didn't know if they were able to apply for a neighborhood grant if it's a gated community. And I didn't know if that was a qualification or disqualification. So I really didn't have that information as I was calling each of my associates to find out if they were aware that there is a grant application, second round grant applications. And so Hills of Beaver Dam, and then I also did Lakeshore Heights, where we worked with the Grove Park Sunset Mountain Association. They had a yard sale this past weekend. And this yard sale was with all of the neighbors in the neighborhood could participate. And they brought their own tables and the chairs, and we got Habitat to come in and pick up all the stuff that they didn't want after the sale was over. And it was very successful. And I was able to talk to a number of people about your voice, your choice, and get them to start looking at that website and working, filling it out and getting the information in. And someone did it right in front of me, and which was really great. But then they said, oh my gosh, I should have clicked this one. And I didn't know how to answer that. So anyway, I wanted to find out, because I have been trying to push the neighborhood grants, who has submitted that's new, so that I don't go back to them again, or I help them with their neighborhood grant if they need any assistance. Can you give us an update on who that is, Dawa?
I will have to lean on the very capable hands of Miss Christina Israel on that. She is project lead.
Well, just to answer your first question, Wendy, yes, an HOA can apply.
Okay.
Being a gated community is not an obstacle in that regard.
Great.
Beaver Dam Valley has applied.
Beaver Dam Valley has applied, yes.
Yes, they have. And they have a really interesting project idea. And let me just pull up the applications real quick and I can tell you who's new this year.
Did Lakeshore Heights?
No, they have not yet. And the application period ends this Friday. So I suspect like 2 came in over the weekend. So I suspect
okay.
We'll get several. Sorry, my computer's being slow. We will get several more this week though. Let me turn off my video real quick just to make this go a little faster, hopefully. Okay, so far, Kenilworth Forest and Kenilworth Lake Commission have applied. I said Beaver Dam Valley, Wecan, South French Broad, Easton Valley Street, and those are the ones that I've gotten so far.
Is it possible, Christina, to send all of us the information as to who the contact people are within those grants? So make sure that we are contacting them and talking to them directly. And say congratulations on submitting your grant, and we're here to help you if there's anything that should come up that you need some questions on.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so that's my report. So
Elizabeth had something.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up and ask Christina, is there a limit to how, I think Oakland has gotten one before, but I'm wondering, how is it set up in terms of how long you have to wait before you can apply for another one?
The folks who were awarded in round 1 are eligible to apply for round 2.
Okay.
So there's not a stipulation saying that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Elise, I know you're new. Okay, there you are. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I have another question about the matching grants also. Will there be another round later this year? I don't know what the history of the cycle looks like.
Yeah, that's a question that I have as well. And I'm already getting that question from other neighborhoods. So we're still allocating funds that were unspent or awarded from round one, which was last year in the fall, was round one of the neighborhood matching grant. So this is round two, and we're still, again, allocating that original.
Gotcha. So it's just until the source of money has been exhausted, basically.
Well, I'm hoping that council, or that it's in the budget for,
It is in this. All right. So the funds that Christina's working with now, round one and round two, those are from last fiscal year. And there were funds budgeted for this current fiscal year that runs July 1 through June 30th of next year.
Okay. So we anticipate we might have another 1 or 2 rounds to allocate this year's funds as well.
Okay. Yes, although TBA or TBD on the date.
Gotcha.
The nice thing about it is that the 50 or the amount of dollars, the 50% the community has to raise can also be in donation in work from the neighborhood. So, and that's $28 per hour. Is that correct, Christina?
Well, the rate the National Volunteer Hourly Rate tends to increase every year, and the independent sector announces that in April of every year. So now it's $29.15 is the rate for this year.
Great.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Those are my follow-up questions about the matching grant, and I guess I'll give a little neighborhood update. I have not yet. I'm planning to reach out to various leaders of neighborhood associations in this area, but I haven't begun that yet. I, of course, happen to reside in a little section of 28806 that does not have an organized neighborhood association. Just across the street, they do, but not on my side of the street. What I do know about what's been going on in the neighborhood recently, many of you maybe heard about the situation with Malvern Hills Pool earlier this season, where they thought it was going to have to be closed or just delay the opening. And there were some, documentation issues that had to get sorted out through Parks and Rec in order to verify that a certain component, a safety component, was in compliance. So very important stuff, obviously. And so it was thought that the part would have to be replaced, which, of course, with all the supply chain issues, was going to prevent the opening of the pool for basically the whole season. But fortunately, like I said, that documentation came in and Parks and Rec was able to open the pool late, but better late than never, right? So I know there's a lot of families in that area that really rely on that public asset to keep their kids entertained throughout the summer. It's a very affordable activity to, take your family to. So I know there's a lot of families that are very grateful for that. And then other things, I guess, neighborhood wise, we also have like Carrier Park in 28806, and Parks and Rec has been doing a lot of roller skating activities at Carrier Park recently. Twice a month, they've been having some skate jams, and they've been very successful, had lots of families and people. The demographic kind of changes as it gets a little later, but there's definitely a big diversity of people who have been attending those events.
Oh, that's good. And did I miss anyone so far? No. I was going to say Shiloh is Shiloh. We've had a storytelling day. We'll get ready for other activities that'll run all the way up through December. We meet monthly. We're engaged in a lot of things. I don't know how many of you, if you're involved in your community associations, we do have a police officer that comes out and gives us a report every month. We have a BIPA that comes out. We have a foot clinic that this guy doctor comes out, and people are really happy about that. So there's a lot of activities incorporated with Parks and Rec at the Shiloh Center. So that is what we do there. But I appreciate all the work that everybody's doing. It sounds great. I mean, I've been on this committee. How long, Dow? It's been a long time. I've been on this committee, and this is the first time I can say that this committee is really working. And so just think about how much fun we're going to have when we get back together again. And we'll get to see everybody's smiling faces. You'll have to put on some clothes. If you're like me, I got on a pair of some kind of pants that I would not wear to a live meeting, but I'm good. I'm good. And I will have my dinner before I come. So we have almost come to the end of this meeting. I noticed that, did you do this, Christina, when you put up some things for our next meeting agenda? Okay, so we have some agenda items. We're still waiting on the technical review committee from Chris Collins. We'll wait for him to give us a date when he can come and talk to us. We're gonna invite, we don't have to do it right now, but I still would like for CAN, the neighborhoods, the Coalition of Asheville Neighborhoods, to come out and just talk to us about what they're doing and how we can possibly support them. And we'll talk about our annual retreat planning next month. And we'll return to in-person meetings, select a time and location, August. But we will still be virtual in August. We'll make some decisions then. We talked about the Festival of Neighborhoods. We also talked about getting Ken Putnam to present on traffic common policy and process for requests for that. And I see Sharon has her hand up.
I have talked to Helen Hyatt on CAN, Coalition Asheville Neighborhoods, and she's the person that organizes for CAN the neighborhoods. And I'm wondering, do we want her at our next meeting? And I can ask her, and she said she'd be happy to attend whenever we wanted her. So is this future or next month future, or?
We can possibly put her on next month because I really want to hear it. And Christina would have to set it up because they'd have to bring her into the room. It's nothing I can do. So let's let Christina. Can you get with CAN and see if they can come and meet? Because I do want to know how we can support them with the work that they're doing. And I know that they do a lot, and it's a lot of participation. I know at one time they were trying to get officers. Everybody, I think every organization right now is kind of down after still haven't gotten back from the pandemic. And so you look at a lot of community meetings are not really up to where you would want them to be. But I would like to know how we can help CAN. So if she can do that, then I'm fine with that.
All right, Christina, shall I send you her contact information?
I already have it actually. So
Have Helen Hyatt's?
Helen, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Because when I talked with her at the Southside United, oh, that's right, meeting, I asked her, and she said she'd be happy to do that. So, thank you.
Okay, then. So our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, August the 22nd at 5:00, and it will be held virtually. And all of our meetings can be found on the Neighborhood Advisory Committee website. So if it's all right with everyone else, it is now 6:18, and we will adjourn. And I just can't wait till September when we can all see each other and have a couple of laughs and smile and won't look so serious, and we'll have a nice time. Thank you all. I appreciate all of you. Have a good evening.
Bye, thanks.